To this issue of the under-16s being banned from social media. Now, it's been announced that Australia's been given the green light to use age verification technology. That's part of this new social media ban for the children under 16. It's all part of the crackdown on social media companies that the Prime Minister announced last November, and it includes that world-first initiative to ban those under the age of 16 from using social media platforms, the Facebooks, Instagrams, Snapchats, TikToks of this world. So a trial of the age verification technology has reportedly deemed it ready for use. And the trial has determined that it will be private, robust and effective. Now, I'm not so sure, but I'm a cynic by nature. But, you know, I think you've got to remember these kids, the 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, whatever, they've been raised on technology in the way that you or I might have been raised on books. They're technology natives, digital natives. And they're going to find a loophole, I would imagine. Now, that's not me saying we shouldn't try to protect them from social media, but I don't think it's going to be easy to do. But whether the ban at the age of 16 is going to work or not, whether the age at 16 is appropriate or too high or too low, I mean, all these debates can be had. But as Dr. Danielle Einstein, who's a clinical psychologist and adjunct fellow at Macquarie University, points out, the ban will almost count for nothing unless we have urgent digital reforms that complement it. And that's something that I think to date has almost been lacking in the discussion. There's been a lot of focus on the ban, world first and all this sort of stuff, or how's it going to work, or could it work, should it work, is it a Trojan horse? But what about the broader story here? Well, that's what I want to speak to her about, and she's with me on the line, Dr. Danielle Einstein. Good afternoon.
Hi, Michael.
We have done a lot of focus on the ban. It's the headline grabber, I get that. But as you say, the ecosystem that it's meant to support or that it fits into, we don't discuss that as much.
That's right. We need education out there funded by the government that changes our understanding of our addictive use of social media, and that will help the students and the parents themselves.
Okay, how do we address addiction in this sense? I mean, when it comes to cigarettes, apparently we just tax it to oblivion, although we're seeing how that's working now. But with digital technology, you can't do that. So how do we approach that?
Well, we just need to understand it, because if we understand how we're pulled in, we'll make a few changes, and those changes will help all of us.
Okay, understand it though, in what sense? The algorithms that are applied behind the scenes, or what?
No, it's really about understanding what happens with that addictive pull. So if you walk in the front door of your home and you automatically, you kind of might be very used to pulling out your phone in that moment and having a look. Does someone want me? Does someone need me? Is there a great message waiting for me on that post I posted this morning? Has someone posting about a topic that I really care about? If every time you walk in the door you look at that, you just get used to doing that. And in fact, what happens is we get a bit of dopamine. It comes out because you go, oh, I wonder if there's something there. I just wonder, maybe there's something good. And what's going on beneath the surface is that we're all slightly addicted and wanting that little hit, and it's become associated with where we are and what we're doing. And it gets brought on by the location we're in because we've just let it happen, or looking at our phone or our computer or our iPad. So it's that's the bit of education I want out for the whole community, for parents, for educators, for doctors, and for the students themselves. Because once the students recognise it, they'll put limits in themselves as well. And that'll complement the legislation.
You think they will? They'll limit themselves?
Yeah, no one wants to have their attention all the time taken up by an online community and unable, in fact, to appreciate the world around them, the relationships in their own family, their own real-life friendships. People want to care for people around them, I think, genuinely.
Okay, you made the point that, we're speaking here of addiction in this sense, that its twin brother is anxiety. So I think from that you're inferring that if one is unable to access digital services willy-nilly, they'll be anxious that, I don't know, they're missing out or they're not in loop or that something's... and so it's trying to address both of those simultaneously.
Yeah, that's the big picture. What you've just said is the big picture version of anxiety, like, am I fine without my phone? But the small picture is actually the way we worry, the fact that just because I see my phone on my computer, I think about something that's important to me, and I want to grab it and see if there's a problem there, or if I've nailed it with something I've done this morning. So I might want to get off this phone and go, did I do well with this interview? Has anyone sent me a text to say, Danielle, that was a great interview? And because it's important to me, I'm going to reach for my phone and urgently want to nail it, right? Or if there's a problem with my child, I urgently want to see that my child is okay. So that's how it feeds into anxiety. It's actually just the worry that's brought on that I can quickly stamp out. I can stamp out uncertainty, okay? And uncertainty is, it drives us. Like uncertainty, both in positive and negative situations, makes us more emotional.
I mean, that's the official psychological point of view that you're presenting, and I understand that. I'm just the radio guy, but I'm thinking if the technology is there, and yet that is the human inbuilt psychological predisposition, how are people going to self-regulate?
Well, that's where conditioning comes in. Sorry to get technical again, but that's where, if you understand the addictive pull, you just put better practices in for yourself. So when you walk in the door, you put your computer down in a set location in the house, or your phone down in a set spot where it's not in view all the time. And that way, you get better digital habits. Some people have good digital habits already. Those people don't need to make changes. But many in the community do not have good digital habits because we just haven't called out this addictive pull.
I'd say more than many. I said the vast majority. I mean, if I take public transport, I'm often the only one that isn't staring at a phone. If you go to a food court at, say, your local Westfields, most people would be completely oblivious of what was happening behind them because they're scrolling on some ridiculous social media thing looking at garbage while they eat. People are just hooked on this. So, I mean, and that's the adults, let alone the kids.
That's right, Michael, but that's where you can make a deliberate decision to change if you recognise that it's addictive to start with. But if we pretend that it's not addictive and we don't just call it out, which is what I'd like the government to do, I want the government to educate both clinicians like doctors, paediatricians, psychologists, researchers, so that people feel comfortable talking about it. If a client or a patient comes in with anxiety, we need to ask them, let's have a look at what's going on. How many hours did you spend on your phone yesterday or on your computer? Let's just have a look, like a little digital health check, not to be invasive. It's not to be intrusive of what they're doing. It's just to acknowledge that this stops them getting better if they have anxiety.
Okay, I think that's smart. Yeah, that's smart. Okay, so it's about education. I know one of the things you really want to do is launch a national digital health campaign and look at this through a health prism, and I concur with that. But let me just ask you with your psychological expertise, because you helped inform government with this 16 ban and the rest of it. You were part of all of that. So what is it about us psychologically that makes us gravitate to this? Because, my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation, they didn't have this. They didn't have phones and smartphones and the internet, so they had to occupy their time some other way, and heaven forbid, occasionally maybe they were bored, which I don't think is such a bad thing. But these days we've always got to be fiddling and doing something and being constantly reinforced that we're liked and popular. And does that say something about us as a society today?
It's just easy for us to get hooked on it. That actually speaks to the technology companies themselves, right? They have analysed human psychology and they use it to pull us in and hold us. And unfortunately, in under 16s, it's very bad for their emotional development, their socialising in real life, their social skills. If they've got any vulnerabilities, they're going to get a lot worse. But in real terms, for you, Michael, and for the audience, it's just the fact that, of course, we want connection. Of course, we want to be liked. Of course, it makes us feel good if someone says something nice to us or if we're needed. And so, of course, we're going to want that. They're easy hits. It's easier than putting effort into working hard at something. And then, say, a child at school has to work hard at their English and then they get a good result. It's much more effortful. But if we want to build children's competence in putting effort in and learning that there are no quick, easy fixes and that their parents can't get the results for them, that they've got to put the work in themselves, we've got to take away or not take away, but just only gradually introduce these cheap hits that make us feel good in the moment.
The sugar hits, yeah. Okay, just finally, the reason we're speaking is you're saying that if we don't do all of this, the background work, which is the cause of really the tip of the iceberg, which is the under-16s ban. If we don't do that, the under-16s ban will fail. That's what you're saying, essentially, isn't it? It won't achieve its purpose.
No, I think part of the purpose is just to get the tech companies to step up, for them to have skin in the game. So as long as we stick with that legislation, they have to have skin in the game. But I would like the public to support it and to know that parents feel solid and that students themselves who have said that they want this, they've actually, a lot of 17, 18-year-olds look back and say, I don't want my youngest brother or sister on social media. So, young people themselves feel that this is a healthy step forward. And I just would like the whole community to understand that we can safely do this and to support a change in norms. And we've already started that. We already started the change in norms by introducing the legislation. Now we need more. We need more education, and we need, everyone in health to get on board. And I just don't want to hear negative messages coming from those who might be invested, maybe, Michael, in not having a successful change in our community.
Well, yes, heaven forbid there could be those people involved, yes. Wouldn't surprise me. Thank you for your time, Danielle. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All the best, Dr. Danielle Einstein, clinical psychologist there.